I tell you, if there's one piece of kit that you don't want to leave your house with out when you're driving a Range Rover P400, this thing right here, your owner's manual. Because my gosh, this thing has an order of complexity that will befuddle you if you're not careful. It's also quite a luxury vehicle. Want to see more? Come along with me. Snow, 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 snow. It won't be long before we're in London and snow. Well, we're not going to London. But here is a UK machine. Here is one of the ultimate UK machines, the Range Rover. And the Range Rover that you see before you is the P400, which is a cool designation. It's not the standard Range Rover, but you don't get a non-standard Range Rover. You get this amazing machine that has got more technology and more trickology and a heritage of being driven by estate owners that have no care for the terrain underneath them. They just drive right over anything. You know, fox hunters, they'll just drive right over them. But this particular Range Rover is a 2023 model, and it is a beauty. What we got is a 118-inch wheelbase, I believe, with, get this, four-wheel steering, as well as four-wheel drive, of course. And you have a very nice six-cylinder power plant that is both turbocharged and supercharged, and puts out like something around 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. And it's got all these settings and all this electronics and all this, dare I say it, luxury. Look, it's even got something, they're not, for the longest time they had what we like to call the, look like your tiger shark or your great white shark fins right in, gill plates right in here. Well, this is not really gill plates per se, but they sure look like they're just kind of a styling thing, paying homage to the gill plates. And huge wheels, huge tires, and a rear, I gotta share this with you right away because this is so much fun. It's got a rear hatch here that has something that we could all, wait a minute, where is it? There it is. We can all relate to, from the south, from the north, and every place else. It has a tailgate, power operated. Whee! Look at that. For all your estate tailgating needs, there you go. It has quite a bit of cargo area, and it, more than anything else, it's a real strange dual personality kind of a vehicle, because it does have a lot of really interesting capabilities as far as the off-road nature of the vehicle is such that it's got your basic air suspension that when you're in the all-wheel drive modes, or excuse me, when you're in the off-road modes more like, you can raise your ground clearance quite a bit. You can lower it also so it squats to make it easier for the older members of the estate. Let's close that up. Look at that. So anyway, the older members of the estate, if the Queen was still around, may she rest in peace, can climb right in, because it'll hunker down real low on that air suspension to make it easy to access. But then again, you have quite a decent amount of ground clearance underneath it for when you are driving off-road, and it does have a low range transfer case as part of it. It's so electronic you might not initially recognize it as being a second ratio system, but it is, and it's really, really geared such that it could climb up the side of something really, really steep. I'll tell you, I've played with it, and it can, and it will. But it is a really fantastic styling job by these guys, because it really does, at least in my opinion, it captures a lot of the look of the old Range Rover. And once you get inside it, you can see it has a very low belt line, so you can see out of it, even though if you look at it on the exterior, as we're doing now, it doesn't look, it looks like it's got a little bit of that squashed roof line that the others in the Range Rover family have. Like, you know, your Evokes and your, I don't know what they're called right at the moment. But there's quite a few of them, and they don't look traditional. They look super ultra modern. And they lose some of that, I think, that great persona that the Land Rover and Range Rovers had for so long. Even the new Land Rover Defender, which I have, in fact, reviewed, but not on this channel. Even it has a little sort of a resemblance to the original Defender, but not enough for me. It looks so ultra modern. This one's okay, though. This one, I think, captures it pretty well. But the biggest virtue is how the whole package works together as a luxury vehicle. It's really expensive. It's this one's about $127,000. However, it's one of those rarefied machines that when you do drive it and experience the Range Rover experience, if you will, you do see where the money went. I mean, it feels like an expensive car. It feels very well made. And it's very coddling. The seats are incredibly comfortable. The ride is amazing for any kind of. And the thing about the styling, one more thing that I just immediately thought of, if you take a look at the tail end here, it kind of reminds me of, well, it's Bentley-like to me. I don't know why I say that, because of course Bentley now has their own SUV. But there's something about it that kind of is reminiscent of these super, super ultra, incidentally, cars that cost twice what this thing does. It's just a really, really nice styling job, and it's quite functional, this machine. I've enjoyed riding it, and it's quiet as a living room on a country estate inside. So let's dig deeper, shall we? We got to check out that amazing power plant. What in the world do we have under all this aluminum? Well, we have a, as far as I can tell, we do have a 6-cylinder engine, but I believe it's an inline 6, because it appears that the left side of this engine over here is where I can see, I can see part of the exhaust manifold and a turbocharger, and on this side over here, it looks like we have the fuel injection. But then again, we got 2 air boxes, one here and one here, that would make sense if we're looking at a V6. So what I've done is I popped this loose here, and there we are. And what does that all tell you? Well, as near as I can tell, that's an inline 6, but I don't see anything that says V6 anywhere in any of the literature. So I believe we definitely have an inline 6, and of course, naturally, there is, being this is a turbocharged beastie, we have a situation where we have an intercooler that's located up front that this is plumbed to. And as you can see from on my left side here, we got air coming in from that air box. We got air coming in from that right air box over there. And then they seem to meet in the middle and then do things. And it's also, as far as I can tell, looking down here, I think we have a belt-driven supercharger. Now, I'm going to check with the Land Rover and Range Rover just to find out how wrong I really am. But it's complicated, isn't it? But I'll tell you what, this thing rides. I'm going to have to fix that properly. This thing responds beautifully. I mean, it's smooth. It seems to have a nice flat torque curve. Kind of the perfect engine, I would say, for this vehicle, because it just seems to suit it. It seems very happy. So anyway,
that's what we have underneath the hood. And as I said, what did I say, 395, I believe, 395 horsepower, 406 pounds of feet. I believe it's pretty high up in both cases. It's like 5,000 RPM. So I'll give you the bottom right on right here. We'll have the exact numberage for you. But there you go. That's what you have underneath this beautiful bonnet made of aluminum for your Range Rover P400. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. They can come try and get it. I think I'm just gonna keep it. I have that right, don't I? I don't? Good afternoon, my lords and ladies. My name is Mr. Carlson. You may think I'm actually Mr. Carson, but he is at Downton Abbey. I am your personal gentleman and ladies, gentleman and lady. And I'm here to take you on a tour of the 2023 Range Rover SE P400. Boy, wouldn't it be great to have your own personal valet that comes with your car and can navigate through everything for you? That would be great. I'd love that. But here we are. This is a magnificent machine. I don't know how reliable it's going to be. I do know it's extremely costly and probably very costly to own, just if you live in a state that has property taxes on vehicles, and naturally you have to buy insurance and everything else. All these expenses are going to be expensive because this is an expensive vehicle. But I'll tell you something, it does feel like it's worth what they're charging for it, to me anyway. If it starts falling apart, that's one thing, but it hasn't since I've had it this last week. But it is such an intense pleasure to drive. It has such a good drivetrain and such a magnificent suspension, and it's incredibly versatile. It's been through the snow, it's been through some mud and some rocky trail, a little bit of rocky trail stuff, but mainly just on the road where it's probably going to spend 95% of its time. The ride is fantastic. So anyway, but it's complicated. Everything about it's complicated. And here we are gazing at our instrument cluster, which probably has a name like a digital magnifique or something like that. I don't know what the name is right off the bat, but it is completely virtual in nature. It's your thin screen with your analog instrumentation sitting there. And there are quite a few settings, and there are quite a few things you can do to move around here. As far as what is available to you in terms of screenage. And what I like to do now, if I may, is I want to move around. I'm looking for what I'm looking for here. Here we go. What all we have in terms of our display options. Now, on the left side of the steering, right in here, we have display options that actually affect this screen here, you see. That's the volume I just turned on to the stereo, because I'm just so adept at this. And then this is a diamond that just changed. It basically is, that is a selectable situation where this diamond right here, you can pick a variety of different functions for it, depending on what you would like to do. One of the things about this display is that it's kind of tilted at an unusual angle. It's like further, the top is further away from you and the bottom is much closer. And it looks a little strange to me initially. But here, let me pull the wheel up here. That's power assisted, of course. But there you go. It's right there. And it works fine. But when your first impression when you sit down is it's kind of tilted at a bizarre angle. I mean, at least to me it was. But we have a beautiful interior in that it has a lot of the old Range Rover in it, in that the belt line is very low. You can see here, you can really see out of the side of the vehicle. The hood is fairly low, so you can see out of the you can see out of it. I mean, how else do I put that? Look there, you got your panorama up here, which is partially open right now. I've got it half closed in the back. But it's a really, really comfortable space. The way you adjust the seats is amazing. What I have to do here is, most of what you're going to do with this vehicle is very, very touchscreen dependent. In this particular landscape setting, will give you all kinds of options. Too many, really. I mean, you have to work a while to figure out what's what. But for example, if I go to seats, there's my seat. Now, what do I want to do? Do I want to do massage? Do I want to adjust? If you want to adjust, there it is. The headrest, the shoulders, the bolsters. I want to do lumbar, so I got to go here. And then you literally hit this to expand the lumbar and to decrease the lumbar. Neat, huh? It's complicated. If I want to put the seat heat on, it's nice because they just have an on-off button, and then it's at +3 right now, which is the highest setting for heating the seats. I'll take her down a little bit here to 1, and then I'll go to massage. And now I'll get a massage. Turn it on. There we go. And let's see. Yes, combination. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. I'm going to sit here and enjoy this while I'm speaking to you. So you have all that going for you. And it's the reason I'm showing you this right this minute is this is a very, very complex vehicle to learn. But if you're going to spend this kind of money on a vehicle, it's nice to know that you can do damn near anything with it. As far as there are a broad variety of adjustments, you just have to figure out where the heck they are. That's the thing. And you can do seat heat again and turn it off, which I've just done. I better turn the massage off too, although I am enjoying it. There we go. Now then we go back to vehicle here. And in this case, this is just your basic, like some of your autonomous stuff, like your dynamic stability control, which you usually leave it on in most driving situations because that's going to help keep you planted. But here's the fun one, the ride height, which is it's at normal right now, but if you go to access, you drop down. Oops. It's also very haptic, this particular touchscreen. You got to give it a good mash. However, you can do that even when you have on fairly thick gloves, I've discovered. It's not a problem. But now it's lowering down for greater access. And then if you go up to the off-road mode, there's 2 off-road settings. There's off-road 1 and off-road 2. Off-road 2 is the tall boy. That's where you really get up there. When you need to climb over your rocks and that kind of thing, that is the setting for you. So what else do we have here? Well, as we're cruising up to our maximum ride height, wow, is the animation doing that too? I believe it is. Ooh, let's watch it go back to normal now. Does the yeah, the animation even moves. So you see? That's when $127,000 gets you. Even the animation knows what's going on. I like that. You boy. And over here, I have already been here, and this is just seats, audio, all. Well, I know what I'm looking for. See, I'm starting to learn my way around this thing. Let's go to the 4x4i account. Now here we have a situation where it's telling you exactly what you're in as far as your four-wheel drive modes. I'm tilted slightly low at 4%. Side to side I'm at 0%. The altitude here is 591 feet, and I'm bearing 90 degrees due east. How about that? What's wade sensing? Wading in ice may cause damage, so it's going to tell you if the water gets too high, I guess. Isn't that great? Maximum of 2 feet 8 inches of water you can drive this thing through. Wow. That's pretty intense. What else do we have? Trip information. Provides a balanced driving experience optimized for on-road driving. Alternating special. I don't even understand that. That's too complex for me. But there you go. Neat, huh? This is the that little checkerboard thing is where you want to go when you want to start finding stuff. Let's go now to our cameras. There we have our side camera, our front camera, and our back camera. And you can pick pretty much whatever you want to look at. This is kind of part of the 360 system. You know, the cameras, like I've mentioned this before, but this should not surprise you. The quality of the cameras, the HD cameras on this vehicle are outstanding. So you can really see your way around a lot of stuff. Another way of accessing that, by the way, is right here, because this is more of a parking situation. There you are. Shall we spin? There we go. Neat, huh? Looking at both sides of the car. There's appears to be an Ioniq 5 next to us in the snow. How about that? See, it sees all this thing. I could, you know, I apologize for playing with this so much, but it's so much fun. I really find it entertaining and enjoyable, and actually quite useful especially if you're driving off-road and you got lots of trees and rocks and stuff that are threatening to damage your beautiful aluminum bodywork. You don't want that to happen, so you avoid that like the plague. All right, let's go back here. I was lured by the central display. We do have all kinds of things here we can adjust. Our information panel is that. This is our trip summary. I've gone 184 miles on this thing. Wow. I've been enjoying it. It's been in deep snow. It's been doing everything. Here's our instrument display outlook, dials. You can also put the map on if you want. Look at there. Straight mappage. Or you can, you know, what else can you do? Focused. Oh, let's try that. Now we're focused. Isn't that an interesting whatever? Let's go back to gauges. You know how I am. I like my gauges. Oops. Uh-oh. Am I stuck? Am I lost? Oh, left information panel, right information panel. So you can put different things there. Isn't that something? And then display layout. That's where we were. And now we'll go to dial. Whee! So you get the impression. I mean, you get the message, right? What I'm trying to tell you. You can do anything with this thing. You could probably, if you're into like some kind of pole dancers or something like that. I don't know if they have one, but I bet if you went to your dealer, they'd say, yeah, can you put me a pole dancing display on there? Yeah, they probably can. This thing is so versatile. And yet, you know, with all this complexity in this particular instrument cluster and in this display here, the rest of the interior is very, very clean. They don't have a whole lot of ornamentation. You have two glove boxes. This is the top one, which is where we keep our owner's manual. And this is the bottom one down there. So you got two glove boxes in one. And since I'm just not making any sense as far as my logical progression through this instrument cluster area, let's go down now and go to the climate control. And there we are. Beautiful, isn't it? It's nicely colored. You push and you pull right here if you want to engage the seat heaters. See? Oops. Cooling, heating. There we go. I'm seat heating now. I'll put it on one. But you also just have your regular auto settings and the typical stuff you normally get. And there, I just took it back to normal again, but it is indicating that we still have some seat heat on there. You see? Nice. Down in here, this little tray right here is for your cell phone, for your Q charging, which it works great with a phone that has a case on it, as I have proven to myself. You also have your USB-C mount right there, plug in right there for your various onboard devices. And here's the shifter. Now the shifter is all electronic and a bit bizarre to deal with at first, but it has a little ridge right up in here, right here. You push that in and go back like that, and there you are. I'm in drive now. Now I could go there and I'm in sport, allowing me to shift. There's our sport setting right there, allowing us to shift using our paddle shifter. And then we can press like that, go back to reverse or drive or wherever. Or neutral. Can we go to neutral? There we are. Very good. And to go to park, separate switch. All electronic, of course, as so many people are doing it that way. Here's your start stop, which is kind of a weird location in a way, because I think a dog could seize that, but you know, your personal gentleman will have his or her hands on the dog to keep the dog from being unruly. I will not allow the animal to be unruly. See, that's taken care of. That's nothing to worry about. Now over here, very important, this is your drive selection control center. Now if we just turn the dial, first of all, if you want to be in the normal mode and not select a specific drive mode, you push down all this and it's automatic. And it will, it's called auto terrain response, and it'll pretty much adapt the setting that it seems is most appropriate based on all the 10 billion sensors that, from the suspension to everything else, that tell it what's going on and pick what they think is the optimal setting for you. Now if you want to do something otherwise, we got eco. Here we go. Let's go this way. We got dynamic, wah, for driving like a madman. Then we have eco for more ecologically sound driving. Then we have comfort, which is probably a little bit softer on the air springs, because this has got 4 air springs at all 4 corners. Then we go to grass, gravel, snow, which I've been using quite a bit because I've been in grass, gravel, and snow. And then we have, oh, am I not even showing you this? I'm sorry. Here we go. And then we have mud ruts. And then we have sand and sand program. I mean, come on now, just for sand. It's specific for sand. Rock crawling. You know that's going to do all kinds of things. Now, in order to use that particular mode, you have to select low range. And low range is right here. It's a little mountain with a little word, low. And you press that. Let's do that now. I wonder if I have to go into neutral or not. Select neutral to engrade slow. See, they're all like that. Everybody does that. Okay, and then we have the final one, which is waiting. So that's quite a bit. It's now canceling suspension height change because it's not going down in the low, because I have forbidden it to do so. There we go, and I have disconnected that. So that's your drive systems. That's your basic drive systems. Now there's probably some more tunage you can do, and incidentally it is now telling me in the center display that we have an unlocked differential. And it's also, now what these shock absorbers are doing, I have no idea. It's just telling you where you're at. So why don't we put this back into auto terrain mode, and now we'll go back to normal, and my trip information will pop back up. There we go. See, I'm starting to master this. They should just give it to me. Obviously, it would have a good home. Okay, now, this is real fun. Here we have a place to put your phone that I don't think is acute. Well, it's not actually. It's underneath the console. But here we have cooling. And now you can chill your caviar. And once your caviar is appropriately chilled, then your personal gentle person, and there's 2 settings as you can see, your personal gentle person can then spread the caviar on your little biscuit or cracker. Now, it's good to have the personal valet do that, because you shouldn't be doing stuff like that while you're driving. Just not a good idea. Don't do that. So, oh, let's look at the dark theme, shall we? Oh, that's what it's brighter because, what? I don't know. Huh. No, let's not do that. Oh, what have I done now? Well, that's the brighter setting. Can I fix that? How did I end up there? What have I done? See, you'll do a lot of that with this vehicle. Oh my God, what have I done now? And by the time they're going to come pick it up, I'm going to no doubt be a master at how you operate about 40% of this vehicle. I still have another 60% to go, but. So, shall we go up here? Here we have more. This is your shade, which I will now close. Then you can actually open this part of the sunroof, we're not doing because it's raining and snowing at the moment. This is got a phone and a wrench, like when you're broke down, you call that, I guess. And this is if you need your sauce, which is SOS, which is emergency. And I imagine there's a prescription price associated with this, but I don't know for sure. Maybe you get it for a while for no cost to you. But wait, you ask, where are my map lights here? To which I respond, right there. You just put your finger on it and it comes on. Neat, huh? They think of everything. So have I thought of everything about the basics of this? Well, here's your cruise control situation. And this is with the adaptive function of the cruise control. This is your following distance to the vehicle in front of you. This is to make it closer. This is to get it further away. Heated steering wheel, of course. And then you can also do a speed limiting type of cruise control that can get data about the speed limit in your area and make sure your cruise control doesn't take you over that. And this is your lane centering, lane tracing, whatever. I was just reading the latest issue of Consumer Reports, which is the annual auto issue, which I recommend everyone purchase if you don't have a subscription, because it's good information to have if you're in the market for a car. And they were talking how much they like lane tracing, and I don't. I hate it. I mean, I've seen so many. I haven't seen a single manufacturer yet that I've tested a lot of them, and none of them work completely perfectly by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of problems with it, and this vehicle's no different. I mean, it does an okay job, but when you start throwing some wild cards in there, it just doesn't work very well. And a wild card can show up at any point in your driving, no matter what the weather is or anything else. If you have lanes that aren't painted properly or all kinds of stuff, so it's just use it with caution. I mean, there's times it seems to work okay, it works fine. But it's the thing that bothers me about it is people start to depend on it, and then they'll get in situations where it doesn't work properly, and there you go. Hey, let's go to navigation, shall we? There we are. Wow, so where'd they go? Look at all these destinations other drivers have taken. But look at that, 3D. It looks almost, it almost looks like you're flying over the surrounding terrain. And it's we're facing what? 90 degrees due east. So there's a forest here, and then this is a road. I think that's South Bigelow Road. And then this is a little housing development here. You got these little houses around here. But anyway, you can see all that from your drone perch in your navigation system. Good navigation system. I got no truck with it. Works fine. So, how's the room, you ask? It's tremendous. There's a good country mile from my head up to the top of the. It's got the taller. I don't know if you noticed this about Land Rover and Range Rover, but they have lately been squashing the roofs on everything. A couple of reasons for that. A big one is style, and another big one is aerodynamics, to make it more aerodynamic and therefore get better mileage. But I don't like any of them when they start squashing it. And this is the thing I love about this Range Rover is it still has a pretty big greenhouse on it. Still has a pretty low belt line so you can see. And just generally speaking is a lot more reminiscent of the older Range Rovers, which I have a real soft spot for. So, shall we go to the back seat? You want to see that back seat, don't you? Yeah, well, here we go. Oh, well, our normal setting right now is pretty high. I mean, I don't mind telling you. It knows, it probably sees snow around it, and some of that snow looks deep, so it's, you know. All right, shall we jump in? The door opens about 84, 85 degrees, I'd say. There we are. Now then, first thing I have to show you, because I learned this the hard way. Oop, that's the window. There's our window shade, which is power operated. It uses the same little button, by the way. There you go, putting her down. So let me give you some more light here. Hang on, let's find that thing, and there we go. Okay, we'll open up our panorama slowly, like the beginning. Do you remember movie theaters? If you're really old like me, you remember movie theaters that used to have curtains in front of the theater. When the movie was about to start, the curtains would open very slowly like that. Boy, those were the days. Nowadays, it's just crap. So, load floor, almost completely flat, plenty of foot room, excellent leg room. The front seat here, which doesn't have an armrest, the front seat here is back Not real far, but fairly far, and I still got plenty of leg room for my 5'8" manliness. And the type of upholstery we have here is really nicely done because you get good lumbar support, and there's even a little bit of lateral support, which is unusual for bench seats. You usually don't get much of that. You also have your own personal control center here for your climatology, right there. And I'm so excited to test this part. You know, it's my favorite. Oh, nice. Now here we have a little compartment for keeping something. And here we have, oh wow, look at here. Oh yeah, this opens the, look at that. There's your cup holders. And there's this. Okay, that's for this. That's for that. Let's do that again. I love that. All right. And the height of said armrest is pretty near perfect. That's very good. That's very good. Now, you know what else you have here? You got to control, what's this do? Oh, reclining. Woo. There's not a whole lot of range here, but there's enough to like make you comfortable. And do we have heated seats back here on the outboards? Yes. Pull. And it's on auto. Pull manual. Manual. Ventilation. How do I do my heating? I don't know. Come on, I know you can heat. There we go. I'm working on it. Hang on. There we go. Heating and cooling. There you go. So absolutely, you have not only heated but ventilated. That's pretty damn nice. I like that. I like that a lot. So you have that climate control for your backseat passengers, which is very considerate of you. And here we have our map light that I've got to figure out how to turn on. I'm looking there. Here it is. There we go. You got a switch down here for your map light. Oh, and there's two of them. There's like a spotlight and a map light. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. Huh. The choices you have on this vehicle, like I said, they'll make you crazy. They'll make you absolutely mad. And oh, by the way, the sound system of this thing is exactly what you'd expect. It's magnificent. It sounds absolutely tremendous. So, these seat backs, of course, do fold forward. I believe it's done power-wise. There's switches in the back in the cargo area beneath this nice cover. That cover is more expensive than most upholstery in most cars, but the workmanship on this thing is great. I don't know how it'll hold up over time, but it is in its new state. It is absolutely beautiful and tasteful, and it looks like you're literally in a luxury SUV. And I don't know many people who are clever who who would opt for some like some of these other makes. If you're going to get an SUV that's a luxury one, this is one of the ones I'd seriously consider. I mean, look, you got that beautiful inline 6-cylinder engine that's both turbo and supercharged. You got all this wonderful suspension compliance that makes it ride like a magic carpet. It really does. You got plenty of ground clearance for off-road work. You got 10 billion programs to pick the various transmission and everything else that gets adjusted to suit that particular sand or mud or snow or highway or whatever. It's got all the things you want. Oh, now the engine just quit. Why did it do that? It probably quit because we were just sitting here running the engine, not doing anything. Or it just completely it's had it with me, which I don't blame it. You know, they'd rather converse with the personal gentleman than converse with me. So there is our excellent Rover. By the way, the engine went off and these lights came on. I think they're telling me, you've talked enough, get out of the car. Well, who am I to say no, my lady? Well, Off we go, Carson, to find what we may find out in the snow-covered valley. Well, I tell you what, here we go. With our Range Rover is all rangy. All four wheels steering, all four wheels driving. Get out of the way. And still, through it all, that wonderful ride. Little slippage there, huh? How about that? But we have our snow mode engaged. So I don't know what that's going to be. You know, we've had so many plow trucks driving around and dumping out tons of salt and stuff. We could actually use it now. And I don't know if they're out or not. But there you go. This seems to be not in any way perturbed. But I think what we've had is, I think the plow's gone on the other side, and then they need to do this side, so I have to mind the rear view, and I don't see him yet. Boy, this is the way. Man, if you want to get to your chalet for a bit of the après du ski or whatever, boy, this is the vehicle to do it in right here. Man. It coddles. Can I say that? It coddles you. We'll put this back on automatic and see what happens. I haven't put the seat heat on, or the. Now I know the. There we go. There's our steering heating, but I don't really know. One thing, this is not. See, I think there should be a separate thing. Oh, here we go. How about that? What's that do? Seat heat, yes. Now what? Now what do I do is, oh, here we go. On. Seat heat is now on. Huh. -3. No. No, you don't. We need plus. Well, see how complex this is? This is the thing. It does everything on a sort of a complicated schedule, but that's all right. That's okay. Going down a very icy hill now, and I always complain about the fact that Land Rover and Range Rover often they don't put very good tires for four-wheel drive activity on the vehicle. However, the tires that I have on here at the moment are actually well suited to this kind of slipperiness, because they're all seasoned tires that. Let's just put it this way. There's compromise. I always use that word, compromise. There's compromises when you get it to serious off-road tires. Sometimes they're good in snow, but read the charts very carefully. Look at your Consumer Reports reviews, because a lot of times they're not that good in ice, and especially in terms of slowing and stopping. And that's because they're using compounds that are a compromise between being sticky and being durable. And in just a moment here, we're going to be heading up this hill. That should be an adventure. Should have brought the dogs, but I've been real good about not bringing the dogs in the review vehicles, because why do you think that is? Because I'll leave dog hair everywhere and it'll be a mess? Well, that can certainly be the case at certain times of the year when it's muddy. The main reason is so many people are allergic to all kinds of animal hair. So the drivers are nice enough to, they are a wonderful bunch in these fleet companies that deliver these vehicles. They're a great bunch of men and women. And I don't want to give them any more crap to deal with than they don't already have. Boy, it just motors right up this very smooth. It's just amazing how the ride quality just kind of does its own thing. No matter what the terrain, no matter what the surface, no matter what any of it is. And I'm hoping enough of this snow will blow off, because you're gonna see an unusual type of well, let's just put it this way. I need some of the snow to blow off of those. Now, the whiteness that you can no doubt, I wonder if I can open the shade here. And hopefully it won't open the whole thing and dump a whole bunch of snow in the car. Actually, I could stop it there. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Boy, I'm getting nice and warm, Hal. I'm going to take her down one. Because of the haptic nature of this touchscreen, fortunately, I've got these gloves on that are just regular, I call them gloves. They're basically socks for your hands. But the touchscreen seems to work fine because you got to mash it anyway, just the way it's set up. And if you have to do the mashings, it's perfectly good to have gloves on. It doesn't seem to make any difference. Now, if I had real heavy gloves on, I don't know. But there's something else that's interesting about the weather we've been having is, you see the snow now, you see all the snow on the pavement. By tomorrow, I think it's going to be up in the 40s tomorrow, so it'll all be gone by tomorrow afternoon. The whole season's been, the whole winter's been that way. We haven't had any lingering real events. We had one or two, but it didn't last for very long. Our current outside temperature is 19. So that's cold. That's cold, man. Well, one of the things you will discover right away with your Range Rover is there ain't nothing that's got a ride like this. They've always been like this. I go way back with Range Rover as far as always liking them just for the ride qualities and the chassis. And one of the most interesting things, and I'll go into depth about this, is how the vehicle has gone over time from a full frame body on frame construction to a partial body on frame construction to what we now have these days. So I'm going to go over this big old rock right here and see how we did. Woo. Woo. To complete unitized body construction with subframes. That's where we're at now. And regardless of what particular format it had, it's always been really smooth. And what else do we have that's fun? Well, an engine, a little engine, it's not that small really, that is both turbocharged and supercharged. Similar a little bit to the way that Volvo's done a lot of engines over the last several years, although to the best of my knowledge there is no liaison between Volvo and Range Rover, which is owned by, I believe Range Rover is still owned by Tata, which is an Indian company, a company out of India, but it's still very, very British, this machine. And it is so loaded with technology that it'll just turn your head. One of my favorite things about this vehicle right off the bat is it has something that I always loved about Range Rovers. It has this incredible visibility where you sit up high and the belt line is fairly low and you can see out of the vehicle like few others, especially if you find yourself in an off-road situation. Now right now, of course, we're in this mode here, which is Eco. And then there's a comfort level, and then there's a grass, gravel, snow, three things level, and then you have your mud, rut level, then you have your sand level, and then you have your rock crawling mode, and you have to select low range in order to go on the rock crawling mode, and then you have your wading mode for wading through stuff. So they give you, you know, if you're into modes, they'll give you some modes. I mean, they're real happy to do that for you. But the ride quality of these things is just, and what's really interesting to me about it is this is something I think that every vehicle that has a heritage has certain what I would describe as trademark features that they like to make sure the vehicle has. And one of the trademark features to me is what I've been talking about, the ride quality of the Range Rover. And while the rest of the Land Rover, Range Rover line has modified quite a bit over time it looks different. And this, to be sure, looks ultra modern. It looks like a Bentley SUV, although there is a Bentley SUV and it doesn't look like this. Figure that one out. But you can still see the heritage lines, if you will, of the original Range, well, not the original, but the recent Range Rover lines. It still looks like a Range Rover. It still has the body, the big wagon body style with the low belt line that I was discussing earlier. It just now, it has so much technology that, well, they threw the kitchen sink in pretty much. And the suspension has all kinds of different goodies to it to make it as versatile as all those modes would lead you to believe. Well, I hope you've gotten the impression that there's an awful lot of stuff on this particular vehicle. And there is. And here it is. Freeze frame this and read it all if you like. But we have a starting MSRP of $104,500, and with options we come to $127,925. A lot of money for a lot of Rover. All right, now here's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do a little demonstration for your edification, demonstration edification. Here we go. All right, so we're starting out. This is access so that it's low as possible for your suspension setting so that you can get in, you can climb your butt into this thing. Now then we'll go to normal. So we're going to raise up just a little bit for normal. And we are pumping and pumping, and now we're at normal. Now let's go to off-road. We'll go to off-road 1, which is a little taller. Little taller, little taller. Then we'll go to off-road 2. And we'll go up even further. We will maximize. And there we go. There is our off-road mode with considerably more ground clearance than you get when you start out. Hey, you all right? You doing all right? All right, now we'll go back to normal here, because we are, after all, normal, aren't we? Aren't we? Of course we are. Okay, welcome to the underside rear suspension of the Range Rover P400. And boy, is it a sight to see. What you have here, like I mentioned before, this is a unibody construction situation where you don't have a body on frame, but what you do have is an incredibly stout subframe. Right here, it's made out of this aluminum, and it is a huge superstructure, which all these other components, including this massive sway bar right here, good grief, you can do pull-ups on this, is attached on both sides, as you can see, because it's fully independent. And there's our airbags, 1 and 2. And at the moment we're at the off-road setting number 2, which is the tallest setting. And there's a lot of ground clearance. But as you can see, everything is very well protected. We got these sheets here are particularly interesting because they're made out of some kind of polymer, but they're very stout. Pardon me. You could definitely slide them over rocks, I think. And you got them up front too to protect that lower link up there. You got a forward link and an upper link up in there, which I can see, but it's way up in there. You see, way up in there. And again, you come across here and you got a big polymer skid plate. Underneath there is your rear differential. The drive shaft of the rear differential, I can't even see. I think it is quite protected underneath there. I know it works because it does in fact have all-wheel drive. But if we look over on the passenger side, you can see up top there's a link up there, and as well as the lower length and the polymer and everything else. And all this is made out of really looks like outstanding quality aluminum. They've also taken into account this exhaust pipe, which is absolutely massive. I'm assuming that is stainless steel because it sure looks like it, but it's squished flat sort of to keep it out of harm's way, and it looks really, really stout, like it would last a very, very long time. You also have a lot of this this heat shield stuff here, and normally that stuff looks pretty flimsy, but this looks really pretty stout, and as do the, what usually happens up here is these bolts that you see here that fasten all this heat shield stuff to whatever it's attached to are pretty flimsy, and often not any kind of stainless steel or anything like that, so they rust in a few years, and then your heat shield falls off and is out in the street, and then you can use it to make pie. But in this case, this stuff looks pretty substantial, well built, well assembled, and prepared to take on a salty wintertime pretty extensively. Year after year, I think it'll last pretty well. You can also see the overall, you got what it looks like a very substantial front skid plate. Then you have this soft material that's, more than anything else, is probably designed to thwart off the air so that this is nice and aerodynamic. And of course it lowers when we're in, since we're in off-road setting number 2, we're way up in the air, but this thing lowers down quite a bit, much closer to the pavement to improve gas mileage overall. So this is a combat ready. It looks kind of like a Humvee. This extensive rear suspension, and boy, they really, like I said, that I don't know where. Let's have a look there. I honestly don't know where the drive shaft is, except it's up in there somewhere. But you can't see hide nor hair of it. It is really, really packed away. And up in here, you can see all these various links and things. I mean, this is complex, made of very high quality materials, and delivers an absolutely magic carpet ride. So there you go. That is one of the most interesting aspects of what is, after all, a very interesting vehicle. Well, gee, nothing like roving in your Ranger, or ranging with your what? Well, you know what I'm saying. This is a wonderful vehicle in so many ways. It's really expensive, but man, does it ride nice. And I hope you have a nice ride too. And you take care of yourselves out there. And above all, be your own personal gentleman. Later on, folks.
Geist in Heut empiri, Gesanke